factor in the 2013 budget request as well?
I'm sorry, Senator.
Is the unemployment factor in the 2013 budget request as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure I have a good answer for you on that.
You could get back to us since
I will. I'm happy to provide that.
I also want to make sure that the White House prediction of unemployment is your prediction, you know, because my guess is the White House is going to predict over next year unemployment will fall dramatically. So we want to make sure left hand and right hand are actually talking to each other.
Yeah. And again, the unemployment rate factor is an unknown for me, and I've put this in there because the model says, and you know, this is something I'll have to deal with. I'll have a better answer for you in 2012 to see whether or not that unemployment rate factor kicks in. I'm happy to provide that information.
Thank you. And a question for you and Mr. Baker. As I understand it, when Mr. Baker came in as the Chief Information Officer in 2009, a significant portion of the department's projects were behind schedule by more than a year and over budget by over 50%. You halted the development of 44 projects and ultimately canceled 12 of them. As a result of halting development on so many projects, the department fell short of spending its money that Congress appropriated in 2009. And as a result, the IT VA account carried $676 million from 2009 to 2010. And with all that carryover funding to supplement your 2010 appropriation, you then carried another $675 million from 2010 to 2011. And this time of budget constraints, and especially the pretty heavy scrutiny you're going to go through over in House appropriations, I think the days of carrying over $600 million are pretty much over. I think it would help us, Mr. Chairman, if we divided the IT account into three areas, and I hope our bill can do this. One line for salaries, one line for operations and maintenance, and one line for development, so that we can keep a track of what has been a real problem child here. Is that possible to do?
Thank you, Senator. We've looked just briefly at that. Clearly, we carry over primarily on the development side, but we also have a reason to carry over on the operations and maintenance side occasionally. Equipment purchases and licenses and other things that may not get executed in August or September rolling into October or November. But as you identify, the primary reason for that carryover comes in the development projects that we have slowed down or stopped. I don't think that the proposal causes me any great angst. I think we lay those out in individual lines at this point in time. So I'd certainly want to work with the staff on the implications of that.
Yeah. Mr. Secretary, do you think, is there a way to have sort of, for lack of a better term, a Shinseki principle here, that this IT effort is brought to bed by November of next year so that we make sure that we have full Shinseki management from start to finish exactly as we had for Stryker? So that there's full accountability and no new personalities. If you screw up, you go back to the same boss.
Yeah. I think, in essence, we have pretty much have that now. It's called PMAS, Program Management Accountability System, and the key words in that, and this is Secretary Baker's creation.
My thing is the deadline so that it all comes in while you're definitely with us?
We can certainly set it up.
Okay.
I wouldn't speak about the deadlines, but the key words in PMAS are management, accountability.
Yep.
And, you know, initially when you tighten the screws down and people have to explain why they're either over budget or over schedule, you get that initial delay in the execution and hence the early carryover. I predict in 11 and 12, the carryover will be significantly less because we now have momentum and execution. 80% of our projects are being executed at a very high standard, which was much less of the case in 2009 when I arrived.
Okay. One other question. The Department 2012 request proposes a record high $448 million for the VA's general administration, offices in Washington, D.C. That's about $51 million higher than in 2010 and 2011. The increase includes $23.5 million for an OMB initiative on reform for the federal government's acquisition force, but still, it's a pretty high, disconcerting request. To put it in context, as recently as 2006, VA central office budget was just $275 million. That's a 63% increase for central offices just in 4 years. Can you give us a compelling reason why the central administration costs so much so quickly?
Senator, I'm happy to provide the details. I just don't have the details you're referring to today. Let me just offer that part of that growth has been in the Office of the Secretary, primarily mine. $834,000 increase over the 2011 budget request. In reality, there's not another person working in my office this year that wasn't there last year. And what I'm trying to correct here, and again, I will chalk this up to transparency. In the past, we've had this method of detailing people into the Office of the Secretary. They really were paid elsewhere, but they actually worked in the Office of the Secretary, and what I've tried to do is clean up the accounts by, if they work in the Office of the Secretary, they get paid there, and, you know, just made it clear where they were being employed. Right. So that's part of what's here. The acquisition is a government-wide initiative, and so 50% of that is tied to that initiative, and I'm happy to provide the details on the remaining percentage here.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.